that how it works? I have to check to make sure it's working. I don't understand how to use this shit. So. Oh, Frog's here. It works. Yippee! Okay. Does it have a cover photo for the video? Like when you scroll? I don't know if it normally has a cover photo. It's weird, like, having my headphones on and talking to the computer. Anyways. Yes, there's a thumbnail. Cool. I have my book. I got this book for my birthday. Through your guitar amplifier. That's so funny. Such a boomer. Want. So this is the book I got. True Tales of Bigfoot, Werewolves, and Other Legendary Creatures. Monsters of the Midwest by Jessica Freeberg and Natalie Fowler. My mouth feels funny. I'm going to try and read this the best that I can. It's got like a bunch of there's a bunch of different books from this person. Hi, Yum Joy Style 2. Welcome. Everybody play nice in my chat. I'm playing black metal riffs to you reading. Sick. It's like gonna be fun because we're gonna be reading a book. Acknowledgements, important notes, preface. Let's read the preface and the important note, but I'm gonna skip the acknowledgements because I don't really care about the acknowledgements. Maybe I should, but I don't. I'm not going to host a panel. That's too high tech for me. I'm amazed that I was able to send a picture from my phone of a little doodle that I doodled and like send it to YouTube on my computer to even like get the thumbnail up. So we're like, you know, take a shot every time I say like, don't do that. Take a shot in Minecraft. That's what they say, right? Yeah, anyways, we're not going to read the acknowledgements. We're going to read the important notes, though, and then we'll, like, go from there. And then there's the preface, and it looks like we, like, jump into maybe some stories. So. Yeah, for sure. I know. It's like, your brain says like and all of those words that don't really matter when you're like trying to think of the next word to say. I don't know why it's so hard for me to think, but anyways, here we are. Important note. No, I don't know. You cannot request that. Request. Maybe in the future. I'm just kidding. Bash would not like that. Curiosity sometimes leads people to go out looking for ghosts and monsters, but please respect the law as well as the rights and privacy of others. Most importantly, we ask anyone who investigates the paranormal to exhibit extreme caution. Do not take this lightly. Tragically, people have died while pursuing legends that we otherwise would have included in this collection. However, a decision was made to not write about those stories here. Your life is precious and it is not worth risking. If there's any danger, please let the legends remain legends. Furthermore, the information provided in this book is for reading entertainment purposes. The author and publisher do not assume and hereby disclaim any liability to any party for any loss. That seems like such a long sentence. Damage or disruption caused by any other use of this information. Stop. Preface. Cryptozoology is the study of legendary animals, or cryptids, that are rumored to live among us, but have not yet been proven to exist. It is human nature to be curious about the unknown. The same curiosity has enabled several beasts formerly classified as cryptids to secure a legitimate classification in the animal kingdom. The Komodo dragon, the okapi, and even the mountain gorilla are just a few such creatures that were once considered cryptids. At one point, even Florida's beloved manatees were thought by sailors to be real mermaids, which I'm pretty sure I've heard Christopher Columbus fucked a manatee. That's not part of the book. I'm going off script. Also, I just want to let everybody know that I sometimes will add words and like take away words and say wrong words and not be able to say words. If you are on the skeptical side, remember this when you read these stories. Maybe there really is something else out there waiting to be discovered and to find its rightful place in the animal kingdom. And maybe it's waiting to strike. Uh-oh, ruh-oh. Trans-related cryptids. Silly. In researching this book, we are struck by something unexpected. The courage of those who lived through the stories. We were impressed by not only the bravery required to face these monsters, but also the courage to come forward to tell their experiences. We realized time and time again that these stories come from respected, hardworking members of the community. You will read accounts from doctors and lawyers, as well as from former skeptics and critics. All of these people put their reputations on the line when they decide to talk about their encounters. They faced criticism and ridicule, but they still spoke up. And we believe them. And with that said, from newspaper articles, interviews, books, and blogs, we've recreated the sightings of some of the most ferocious monster reports in the Midwest. Our research for this book was extensive and thorough, taking the facts into consideration. We also applied our imagination to each story, often envisioning a scene as it might have played out. We strove to provide the details as closely as we were able, giving you, the reader, a glimpse of what it could have been like to be there in the shoes of a witness. However, in some cases, names have been changed to protect the privacy of individuals, so curl up for a good read, but maybe you should make sure that your windows and doors are locked first. From Jessica and Natalie, the authors. I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe. Can you see this very well? I have to wait so I can make sure that it's on screen because I'm like delayed. Okay. So my boyfriend would definitely think that this werewolf is sexy. Our first trip is going to be the Wendigo. I believe, I believe. Ross Township, Minnesota, late 1800s. Jack Nelson rounded the corner of the dirt road that led to the Mickinock homestead. Midwest, there is a Dogman part. We'll get there. We're going to go in order. I'm obviously not going to read everything this stream. But this can be like a thing that I irregularly do. I mean, you know, there's like different sections and stuff, so. A dog once spoke to you. Was it a dog with a blog frog sitting on a log? Okay. The monster makes my mouth not work as well as it could. I think because it's like sugary. Anyways. It is cool illustrations. Belle, aka Beauty, would try to fuck that creature. True. So real. It didn't have a block, but it was wearing fisherman's hat. His thoughts had been with the family ever since he'd heard that they returned quickly from a hunting trip in Canada, just north of the Indian village, because Mrs. Mickinock was unwell. Mickinock. I'm going to fuck that up a lot. These Midwest names. They were a young family with small children, and Jake wanted to see if there was anything he could do for them. He carried a small basket of food that his wife had prepared. Mr. Mickinock emerged from the barn carrying a pail. "Howdy," said Jake. Mickinock looked up, a weary expression clouding his face. "Hey there, Jake," he replied. "I heard about your missus," Jake said, nodding towards the house solemnly. "I wanted to see how you were doing." Not watery, just weird. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I feel like I can't talk as well when I drink sugary drinks or like cold carbonated drinks. I mean, it's not. It's like a real thing. Like, if you drink cold drinks, it like makes your throat parts tighter or like less lax. And if you drink like hot drinks, it like loosens things up. But we're not drinking tea. We are drinking my Holy Grail monster. Oh, the monster in the pick. No, my bevy. That's funny, though. I forgot about that. Probably make Bash's mouth watery. That's kind of what I meant by that, though. Mikanak set the pail on the ground. Fresh milk sloshed from side to side, nearly spilling all over the lip. Well, we've been better, he said. She's been in bed since we got home. She told me before we came back that death had taken control of her. He glanced towards the house and then back to Jake. That's how she said it, Jake, and I believe she might be right. Her skin's so pale you can almost see through it, and she just sleeps all day. The children won't leave her side. He shook his head sadly. Well, she has been in our prayers. Your whole family has been, Jake replied, and we all keep on praying. I appreciate that very much, Mikanak said. This is for you and the kids, Jake said, lifting up the basket. Just some cornbread, jam, and apple pie, stuff my wife thought you might all enjoy. Thank you. The kids are missing their mama's good food. I sure can't make much, Mikanak replied. He took the basket in one hand and lifted the pail of milk with the other. I'd invite you in, but she's sleeping. Jake nodded and said, You just holler if you need anything. We're not that far down the road. Mikanak nodded and smiled sadly before walking to the house. Down your throat. Bash's... No. Yeah, Bash's is much different. Oh, Bash. Sweet summer child. As the door closed behind him, Jake looked around the yard. Several pieces of wood were scattered near a chopping stump, and an axe was propped against a nearby tree. He thought for a minute about chopping some more wood for the family, but worried that the sound would wake Mrs. Minonock. Yeah, that's how the sentence is written. I just said it weird. He noticed a small stack of freshly chopped wood neatly piled near the door, and he'd figured they'd be set for at least a day or two. He decided to stop back tomorrow and see about chopping the rest. Looking away from the home, something caught his eye in the muddy muskeg just beyond the woodpile. Something seemed to be rising out of the bog. At first, there were just two bright lights, much like the orbs he had seen floating around the muskeg behind his own home. They seemed to rise from the marshy ground and float around the trees before fading away. When he'd seen them before his own property, his friend Billy McGillis explained that the lights were from gas rising out of the marsh. These orbs were different. They were not floating independently through the air. They were set together in a gaunt face. The face was covered in ashen skin that seemed to be stretched across nothing but jaw and orbital bone. As it rose higher, Jake saw that it was an entire creature. The monster, tall and thin, stood roughly 15 feet high as it emerged from the watery ground. Jake squinted. It appeared to be dressed in white lace. Want big stallion cock? Yeah, Big Mac? Good stuff, right? Bash is sleeping. I wish he weren't so I could make fun of him. A Wendigo, he whispered. He scrambled back and tripped over a stray log. He didn't stop to see if the thing was coming any further out of the water. He pushed himself back up and ran down the road. Jake remembered hearing the natives talk about the Wendigo creature many times. They claimed it came like a banshee to foretell death. They said a horrible curse fell upon any man who saw it, and that man would resort to eating human flesh for survival. The natives the natives in an Indian village even spoke about a shaman, known as Jack Fiddler, who was said to hunt the Wendigos. He lived up in far northern Ontario. Could such a creature really exist? I clicked on something. What? Could such a creature really exist? By the time he was 100 yards away, Jake began to doubt if he'd seen anything at all. He turned back to look. To his horror, he still saw the creature, now retreating into the bog. Fear pulsed through his body as he watched, unable to break his gaze. He felt an urgent, pressing need to know where the monster was going. The thing stumbled, nearly falling as it sloshed through the standing water and rotting vegetation. Terrified by what he had seen, Jake turned and ran down the road towards his home. Would it come after him? Could it really affect him as it had reportedly done to others? Jake didn't stop running until he was safely in his home. The Epstein files. There's barely mentions of kids. You think the Wendigo are interdimensional? I've never heard of that before. The next morning he was still shaken up by what he had seen. Is this right? Look at this. Can you see this? By what? It's like one word. There's no way in the English language that it's spelt like that, right? Yeah, you can see it on the screen. They're talking about eating flesh. Yeah, yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't watch the news. So I forget that that's like a thing that is being said. Um, well, maybe they're the first story in the book because they're bottom tier. It's quite possible, Frog. I don't know. They spelt by what as one word, so. Um, so bad. The next morning he was still shaken by what he had seen, but he had to return. He was determined to help his neighbors in any way that he could. When he arrived, the children were standing in the front yard, their faces streaked with tears. The doctor stood near the front door speaking to Mickinock. Doc patted the poor man's back sympathetically before walking toward the road. We're learning right now. It's like a Native American cryptid that there's like a couple different recollections of or like tellings of what they are exactly. They're like cursed humans that like eat other humans, but they're like, I don't know, turn into like a monster. Yeah. Like a skinwalker but sassy. As Doc neared Jake, he shook his head and said she passed away this morning. Jake looked from the doctor to the children, who had just lost their mother, then out at the muskeg behind the small house. He half expected to see the creature looming among the trees, but there was nothing except a gentle breeze rattling the green shrubs that sprouted along the muggy bog. The Wendigo was gone, but with it went a young wife and mother. Jake wondered again, with a shiver, if the monster had seen him, and if Jake himself would also be cursed. Jack Fiddler, the shaman whom the American Indians of Indian Village had spoken about, was arrested alongside his brother Joseph by Canadian authorities in 1907 for the murder of Joseph's mentally ill daughter-in-law. The men admitted to the crime but claimed she had become a Wendigo and, in accordance with tradition, needed to be eliminated to protect others. After being arrested, Jack admitted to killing 14 other people whom he believed had become Wendigos. Before the brothers could be tried and convicted, Jack escaped from prison. He died by suicide, by hanging himself in front of or from a tree. His brother Joseph was tried and convicted. He died in prison in 1909. So that was the end of that story, and then it was like a little snippet. Is that what it said? Daughter-in-law? Yeah. Damn, bro. That's fucked up. Imagine your dad and your uncle murdering your wife. Benton County Snake Monster. Logansport, Indiana, September 1889. Is that true Yum Joy style? This is the artwork for this one. I don't think they all have artwork. No, they don't. I'm a book bender. That's why I don't like hardcovered books. There wasn't much remarkable about that afternoon. The wind blew gently, rustling through the leaves that shaded the gentleman from the sun as he made his way toward home. He passed the cemetery west of Oxford, and something drew his attention to the rows of headstones